shit drop. Yeah. Man, we've been doing this for quite some time, and we're gonna keep on keeping on, you know? Oh, get with it or stay away from it. But either way, we going to the top. Can't even afford coming over. You pay the price since it's unimportant. So unimportant. So I don't need you in my life. I feel like I'm cross. I put that on God. Feeling like the top. Feeling like the king. Everything you keep, it ain't really what it seems. Traveling, seeing all the world's problems. Trying to tell you how we get it and how we can solve them. I'm on the top flight now. I came from the bottom. Ain't gotta check my credibility. They know I got them. Came in and over. I still getting better. You let it on me in the falling. So pandemic, you can't even afford coming on me. You'll pay the price since it's unimportant. So unimportant. No, I don't want you. I don't need you in my life. Making heaven pay for the paper. Day by time is coming. Time is coming. Better make it rain, was it need it green? Better make it rain, was it better make it better make it rain, was it need it green? Better make it rain, was it better make it. It's the Plug Podcast, hey. Yo, you already know. Once how this shit drop. Yeah. Man, we've been doing this for quite some time, and we're gonna keep on keeping on, you know? Oh, get with it or stay away from it. But either way, we going to the top. Can't even afford coming over. You pay the price since it's unimportant. So unimportant. So I don't need you in my life. I feel like I'm cross. I put that on God. Feeling like the top. Feeling like the king. Everything you keep, it ain't really what it seems. Traveling, seeing all the world's problems. Trying to tell you how we get it and how we can solve them. I'm on the top flight now. I came from the bottom. Ain't gotta check my credibility. They know I got them. Came in and over. I still getting better. You let it on me in the falling. So pandemic, you can't even afford coming on me. You'll pay the price since it's unimportant. So unimportant. No, I don't want you. I don't need you in my life. Making heaven pay for the paper. Day by time is coming. Time is coming. Better make it rain, was it need it green? Better make it rain, was it better make it better make it rain, was it need it green? Better make it rain, was it better make it.
Yo, we back at it like crack addicts. It's your boy Cross, Boss Cross, Big CEO Cross Your Heart. Man, I apologize for the delay, man. We're running a little bit behind trying to get my videos and stuff to work. But anyway, y'all make sure that y'all go follow KrossYourHeart.com on the merch, man. Y'all put in the plug. You get 10% off on your first order. And we're going to go up from there, man. Also, I appreciate everybody that came in and supporting the channel. The last live we had was a great one. I appreciate y'all on everything on that. Now, let's get to this right here. And I'm having a little problem with the video. But what I did was I wanted to put up something where they call, it's called legal or illegal, right? So I don't think a lot of people understand what Oregon did. Oregon back in, I think in 2020, they passed something what is called the Measure 111 law, right? Which decriminalized all drugs, right? Decriminalize all use of a certain amount where you actually would get like a fine. You know, you have to pay like $100 for a fine or whatever the case may be. Or if you can't pay it, they will actually supply the financial funds for you to do it. So it was weird to me. So now what then came out is that they're having it's like Night of the Living Dead, where the fentanyl crisis has skyrocketed. You think over there in Philly and stuff, but over there they thought that if they decriminalize all drugs, that it would make it better. But what it did, it stirred up a whole bunch of other stuff, which now has caused them. Oregon just came back a couple of months ago, and now they're going to recriminalize it. So imagine putting everybody and giving them free reign and free will. That's why I say with the Pandora's box, give them free reign and free will to do whatever you want to. Then somebody comes along and say, you know what? This ain't a good idea. Hey, let's go back to the beginning. So now what? Salute, cuz. We got Caroline in here, my cousin. Hey, salute to my cousin in the building. You already know. So they went from decriminalizing to now they're gonna do. Now what they trying to do is trying to make it criminalized now to the point where now the police has to pick and choose. So we're gonna get into this real fast. Like I said, pardon self on the video. I'm gonna have to stop and go back because this other one, this upload video thing ain't working correctly. So let's check this out real fast.
The state of Oregon could soon be under a statewide fentanyl emergency as overdoses there soar to record levels. Some are blaming a first-of-its-kind law passed in 2020, which partly decriminalized possessing certain drugs. Oregon saw the sharpest increase in overdose deaths from synthetic opioids in the U.S. after the legislation took effect. Adam Yamaguchi joined police on patrol in Portland to see the impact of this controversial law.
It's the middle of the day in downtown Portland, Oregon.
You mind holding up for a second?
We're on a ride along with Portland Police Bike Squad.
All right, don't worry about that other thing, all right? You're just going to take it today.
Block after block, foil, syringes, and used Narcan canisters litter the streets. The sight of open fentanyl use is inescapable.
What did you see that warrants a citation?
He was smoking drugs on the sidewalk.
23-year-old Milo McPherson is not facing arrest or criminal prosecution for openly smoking fentanyl. Instead, Portland police officer David Baer hands McPherson a $100 citation.
Because you're going to call one of these numbers.
Excellent.
Do the drug screen. They'll pay the ticket for you. And if you want treatment, then give you treatment, okay?
Under Oregon's Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act, drugs are decriminalized statewide in an effort to instead help addicts with treatment.
Everyone has Narcan?
So I'm going to stop right there. Like I said, I can't pause in between, but that's crazy. Just imagine you standing right there on the corner, the police officers right there, and you just fired some meth, right? Or some dope. You just fired up. And they tell you, hey, you can't smoke that. They check you for your stuff, and then they write you a ticket, $100 ticket. Like, come on, man, this is crazy. Yeah, they write you a $100 ticket. So we're going to go back and play it again. Like I said, again, I'm going to have to go back from the beginning, but we're going to break it down from here because I'm not going to be on here that long.
The state of Oregon could soon be under a statewide fentanyl emergency as overdoses there soar to record levels. Some are blaming a first-of-its-kind law passed in 2020, which partly decriminalized possessing certain drugs. Oregon saw the sharpest increase in overdose deaths from synthetic opioids in the U.S. after the legislation took effect. Adam Yamaguchi joined police on patrol in Portland to see the impact of this controversial law.
It's the middle of the day in downtown Portland, Oregon.
You mind holding up for a second?
We're on a ride along with Portland Police Bike Squad.
All right, don't worry about that other thing, all right? You're just going to take it today.
Block after block, foil, syringes, and used Narcan canisters litter the streets. The sight of open fentanyl use is inescapable.
What did you see that warrants a citation?
He was smoking drugs on the sidewalk.
23-year-old Milo McPherson is not facing arrest or criminal prosecution for openly smoking fentanyl. Instead, Portland police officer David Baer hands McPherson a $100 citation.
Because you're going to call one of these numbers.
Excellent.
Do the drug screen. They'll pay the ticket for you. And if you want treatment, then give you treatment, okay?
Under Oregon's Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act, drugs are decriminalized statewide in an effort to instead help addicts with treatment.
Everyone has Narcan? $100 fine. Smoking fentanyl in public. Don't worry about that. And they're going to either offer you treatment or at least pay the fine for you.
But calling the help hotline is voluntary, frustrating Portland law enforcement.
Put your hands behind your back.
They say, without the threat of jail and fentanyl's addictiveness, there isn't a real incentive for people to seek treatment.
What sort of an impact has 110 had on what you do out on the street every day?
My full-time job is fentanyl, and basically all roads lead to fentanyl in downtown Portland.
Since Measure 110 took effect nearly 3 years ago, more than 6,000 citations have been filed, and 64% have been ignored.
So I'm gonna stop right there. Apologize. So it's actually 110, right? So it being 110, like they said, it's actually it helps decriminalize. Well, it helps 64%. Think about it, 64% of the people, it's been ignored, right? They don't even pay it. They don't even show up. So that's the crazy part about all this. It's like they don't show up. They don't got nothing to do with it. They don't want to have nothing to do with it. And it's crazy because you would think that, you know, a lot of people say, hey, man, we need to like not make drugs illegal. But there's a reason why. Because, again, if you allow everybody to be able to do it, man, people go rampant. And you'll have this, what you got going on in Oregon right now. So like I said, again, I got to play it back because this whole video thing I'm working on right now. So let's go.
The state of Oregon could soon be under a statewide fentanyl emergency as overdoses there soar to record levels. Some are blaming a first-of-its-kind law passed in 2020, which partly decriminalized possessing certain drugs. Oregon saw the sharpest increase in overdose deaths from synthetic opioids in the U.S. after the legislation took effect. Adam Yamaguchi joined police on patrol in Portland to see the impact of this controversial law.
It's the middle of the day in downtown Portland, Oregon.
You mind holding up for a second?
We're on a ride-along with Portland Police Bike Squad.
All right, don't worry about that other thing, all right? You're just going to take it today.
Block after block, foil, syringes, and used Narcan canisters litter the streets. The sight of open fentanyl use is inescapable.
What did you see that warrants a citation?
He was smoking drugs on the sidewalk.
23-year-old Milo McPherson is not facing arrest or criminal prosecution for openly smoking fentanyl. Instead, Portland police officer David Baer hands McPherson a $100 citation.
Because you're going to call one of these numbers.
Excellent.
Do the drug screen. They'll pay the ticket for you. And if you want treatment, they can give you treatment, okay?
Under Oregon's Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act, drugs are decriminalized statewide in an effort to instead help addicts with treatment.
Everyone has Narcan? $100 fine. Smoking fentanyl in public. Don't worry about that. And they're going to either offer you treatment or at least pay the fine for you.
But calling the help hotline is voluntary, frustrating Portland law enforcement.
Put your hands behind your back.
They say, without the threat of jail and fentanyl's addictiveness, there isn't a real incentive for people to seek treatment.
What sort of an impact has 110 had on what you do out on the street every day?
My full-time job is fentanyl, and basically all roads lead to fentanyl in downtown Portland.
Since Measure 110 took effect nearly 3 years ago, more than 6,000 citations have been filed, and 64% have been ignored.
The vast majority of people that get those tickets, they just throw them away.
A coalition of police chiefs, donors, and district attorneys are now calling for the recriminalization of drugs, along with adding diversion programs within the criminal court system.
We don't want to double down on something that's failing. We've had 3 years of this law that has not delivered on the promise that voters thought they were getting.
Including Washington County DA Kevin.
Apologize, y'all. Here we go.
The state of Oregon could soon be under a statewide fentanyl emergency as overdoses there soar to record levels. Some are blaming a first-of-its-kind law passed in 2020, which partly decriminalized possessing certain drugs. Oregon saw the sharpest increase in overdose deaths from synthetic opioids in the U.S. after the legislation took effect. Adam Yamaguchi joined police on patrol in Portland to see the impact of this controversial law.
It's the middle of the day in downtown Portland, Oregon.
You mind holding up for a second?
We're on a ride-along with Portland Police Bike Squad.
All right, don't worry about that other thing, all right? You're just going to take it today.
Block after block, foil, syringes, and used Narcan canisters litter the streets. The sight of open fentanyl use is inescapable.
What did you see that warrants a citation?
He was smoking drugs on the sidewalk.
23-year-old Milo McPherson is not facing arrest or criminal prosecution for openly smoking fentanyl. Instead, Portland police officer David Baer hands McPherson a $100 citation.
Because you're going to call one of these numbers.
Excellent.
Do the drug screen. They'll pay the ticket for you. And if you want treatment, they can give you treatment, okay?
Under Oregon's Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act, drugs are decriminalized statewide in an effort to instead help addicts with treatment.
Everyone has Narcan? $100 fine. Smoking fentanyl in public. Don't worry about that. And they're going to either offer you treatment or at least pay the fine for you.
But calling the help hotline is voluntary, frustrating Portland law enforcement.
Put your hands behind your back.
They say, without the threat of jail and fentanyl's addictiveness, there isn't a real incentive for people to seek treatment.
What sort of an impact has 110 had on what you do out on the street every day?
My full-time job is fentanyl, and basically all roads lead to fentanyl in downtown Portland.
Since Measure 110 took effect nearly 3 years ago, more than 6,000 citations have been filed, and 64% have been ignored.
The vast majority of people that get those tickets, they just throw them away.
A coalition of police chiefs, donors, and district attorneys are now calling for the recriminalization of drugs, along with adding diversion programs within the criminal court system.
We don't want to double down on something that's failing. We've had 3 years of this law that has not delivered on the promise that voters thought they were getting.
Including Washington County DA Kevin Barton. People in these social services programs will say the process of putting someone in jail is part of the harm that they're trying to reduce.
There's no silver bullet here. We need to create rewards and consequences to motivate people to engage in treatment.
The advocates of the measure say it's treated 15,000 individuals at more than 200 locations statewide, and more housing, treatment, and rehabilitation programs are opening up. As a result, 68% fewer individuals have been arrested or jailed for drug use or possession.
The disease of addiction is not a moral problem. It is a medical problem.
Christina Anderson is program director at Volunteers of America, Oregon. The organization has received nearly $1 million in Measure 110 funding and are expanding outreach and services. Anderson says that decriminalization is the best hope for Oregonians struggling with addiction. There are a couple measures that seek to reform, even repeal 110. What would that do?
Well, let's say you repeal 110 and you start to criminalize substance use again. What you have is individuals being incarcerated and not receiving the help that they need.
Why you whisper?
4D Recovery is just one of the treatment centers newly funded by Measure 110.
I probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
And it offered Ebony Brawley peer mentorship during her treatment. Brawley said the fear of returning to jail wasn't enough to turn her life around.
Because of Measure 110, I was able to change my story and break those chains, and provide a life for myself and for my daughter that she probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Back on the street, the word of the available resources is spreading. And today, McPherson has a new chance to change his story.
You've been jailed before?
Yeah, a couple times. I don't think I belong there, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a criminal.
You seem like you're ready for treatment.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I've been working on it. This is a perfect resource for me, actually, right now.
So you think you'll call the hotline?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Adam Yamaguchi in Portland.
It's such a difficult story to cover because, as the district attorney says, there have been 6,000 citations. Only 64% of those citations have been ignored.
All right. There's a lot of stuff in here that we got to talk about. All right. So 64% of the citations, they done seen an uprise on that. You can look at that guy that they was talking to in that video. He wasn't going to get help. And the woman did make a good point. She said, now, if you turn around and recriminalize it, they're never going to get the help. But that's the plan. Now, the one woman said that she got over $1 million in funding. If you got over $1 million in funding and this thing has been going on for 3 years, just imagine, salute, just imagine the deaths that took place, the overdoses and all that. You can't tell me that this is working. I mean, hell, if you over there in Philly on Kingston Avenue and they don't have, and it's illegal, but they're allowing people to do it, you're getting the same results. So that means all across the board, the usage of drugs and abusing it is just wrong. And some people can't equate. Some people equate, using drugs as for depression. Some use it, they claim it's for a social thing. Some use it, they going through financial. It's a lot of reasons why people turn to it, but it's not the alternative you should turn to. So now you're telling me you pass a law to make heroin, cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamines, Percocets, anything that you get caught with, it's a citation. And if I don't have the money, you're really not helping me, because you're saying, okay, if you get caught with this amount, or if you get caught doing it in front of me, if I'm the police officer, then, hey, you could go to jail, or you are forced to pay for that citation. Not call this number. Dude's like, yeah, call the number. They'll be able to help you with it, and you don't got nothing to worry about. You're not going to jail. So if you know you're not going to jail, you're never knowing that you're being held accountable. And just imagine when they start locking people up. That's the thing. And one of the things people fail to realize, how they're going to end up forcing people to be in these programs. You got to think about it. It's like they're going to force you to be in the program, or they're trying to build some new jails. Like, we want something. They're doing something, because, I mean, whoever created that whole plan, I mean, that was the dumbest plan if you were looking to make money. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about setting up, you're talking about literally the whole state is a trap house. You have made it legal for a whole state to become a trap house. I'm talking about all over Oregon, even Washington a little bit, but not as bad. But Oregon, man, Oregon is something else. And I, you know, shout out to Oregon. You know what I'm saying? I lived in Richland, Washington. You know, we lived in Kennewick. We lived all over in Washington. They went to work, that worked in Corvallis, all those areas. And one of the things they say, let's keep Oregon weird. And it's a reason why they weird. I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on down there. It's all about money, you know, and that's the sad part about this. You would think that they would have more, you know, they have more compassion for life. And I get it. Somebody then created a program and you wrote this grant out and they're giving you this money. And some people are trying to make a change, but then you think back and say, wait a minute. I mean, you're really trying to make a change, or you're really just trying to make money off, you know, make money off of my basically my disability or my handicap that I have on these, you know, using these substances. So it's just really crazy to me that they created a bill. They talk smack about the bill. I think they took the same bill from over in Venezuela, where in Venezuela they had the same thing. They made all drugs decriminal, but they don't have the same effect over here. You know what I'm saying? Just like in certain places that's legalized with marijuana, you don't have the outbreak of it, but it's just something about now. It's like the more you give people stuff, instead of them saying, okay, man, we can get away with it. It's like more of getting away even worse with, you know, with this, because you're adding a substance and you're adding mental health to this. So I want to play this because I'm not going to be on here long, but I just wanted to bring attention and awareness to how they're setting up. You know, they put stuff out there and they let you know that the government at any given time can renege on anything and say, hey, we don't want to do that no more. So again, for 3 years straight, you're talking about people who have experimented with hard drugs for 3 years straight legally. And now you're saying, wait a minute. Now we're going to put it back into the police hands. See what I'm saying? At first, they were doing all that. Remember when all that stuff was going on and people was rioting and they were going into the police stations, taking it over. Up there in Seattle, they were taking it over. In Portland, they were doing the same thing. Remember, they're trying to regain back, I guess, trying to regain back the police or whatever, or having more control in their city because they really don't have any. To me, it's like a walking Pandora's box, you know, living out there in Oregon like that. So let's watch what they just put up now. And it's funny how they quickly approved it. It's been approved and everything. It's going to start September the 1st, which is crazy. So they created another bill called, like you said, you cannot just get rid of the certain laws and not think all yeah, you can't. It's impossible because because when you take away one, you have to counter another one. It's been preventative measures for this one. Like they also say, this is the leeway or this the gateway to this. So you got to start looking at and taking that in consideration. So let's go ahead and I'm going to play this video right here.
First on Fox tonight, the Oregon Senate has made a major decision on a controversial voter-approved measure. They passed House Bill 4002, which will roll back a key component of Measure 110, making possessing a small amount of drugs illegal in Oregon once again. Now, the bill is headed to the governor's desk tonight. It passed 21-8 in a show of bipartisan support. Lawmakers in both parties say this is the best option to address the state's growing drug and addiction crises. I'm
going to stop right there. Salute Square. Thursday Rich in the building. This is a thing that's blowing my mind. Why did you think it was not going to be a problem? I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out if you legalize, man, you talking about legalizing crack and all this other stuff, and you can just smoke crack freely and smoke meth walking down the street, and I just get a ticket for it. Like, come on, man. Now you're saying, well, I don't think it was a good idea, you know, because of this fentanyl. I mean, you don't think so? You're talking about, and they don't speak on, again, the ODs that happen in Oregon, right? That happens like on a daily. I mean, you're talking about certain areas you can't even go down Like they got one thing here, one thing in Oregon they got, it's called Tent City. Man, you go downtown Tent City, man, it stinks bad. And it's tents, blocks, and everywhere. I mean, literally families and everything living in there. You see women with babies and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, and it's right downtown. You know what I'm saying? Right in the heart of it, just like in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. So let's go ahead and I'm going to play it now.
First on Fox tonight, the Oregon Senate has made a major decision on a controversial voter-approved measure. They passed House Bill 4002, which will roll back a key component of Measure 110, making possessing a small amount of drugs illegal in Oregon once again. Now, the bill is headed to the governor's desk tonight. It passed 21-8 in a show of bipartisan support. Lawmakers in both parties say this is the best option to address the state's growing drug and addiction crises. House Bill 4002 will recriminalize possessing a small amount of drugs, reversing a key component of Measure 110. It also creates an unclassified misdemeanor for those found in possession of hard drugs such as meth, heroin, and fentanyl. The bill will...
So I'm going to stop right there. That right there. Unclassified misdemeanor. I don't even know what that means. It's going to be unclassified. It's a misdemeanor. The class could be, I guess they're saying class, you know, level 1 all the way up, but a misdemeanor is a misdemeanor, bro. I don't get why would you put that in place? Because what you're saying is it gives the police the right to basically to I don't know, I would say like they can profile if they want to. They see you, they can pat you down now. And through the discretion of the police, that puts you in a whole different position. Because what if somebody's family member, you know, passed away today and they're a police officer? You got to remember, it's still human nature. And they like, you know what? I've been seeing this guy this whole time. Now I can do something about it because now the law's on my side. You never know.
First on Fox tonight, the Oregon Senate has made a major decision on a controversial voter-approved measure. They passed House Bill 4002, which will roll back a key component of Measure 110, making possessing a small amount of drugs illegal in Oregon once again. Now, the bill is headed to the governor's desk tonight. It passed 21-8 in a show of bipartisan support. Lawmakers in both parties say this is the best option to address the state's growing drug and addiction crises. House Bill 4002 will recriminalize possessing a small amount of drugs, reversing a key component of Measure 110. It also creates an unclassified misdemeanor for those found in possession of hard drugs such as meth, heroin, and fentanyl. The bill will also give law enforcement the authority to decide whether to send someone into a deflection program, which connects the drug user to treatment, or to send them to jail for up to 6 months. Lawmakers had this to say today about the passage.
So before I even go even further, and I'm going to finish out this video, but I got to say this right here. Like, that's crazy. Man, you put all these people on these hard drugs, man, and then you come back, and now you're going to, the same small minor offenses, now they're being, is like, well, we're going to recriminalize it. This way we can be able to, bro, you just put a bunch of people, you strung out a whole state of people. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about, like, cases went up 60,000 or 6,000. You're talking about in a city. And you're telling me now they're held responsible because it was legal and that was not legal? Man, that's a setup. That's like, I mean, because most of these people that's on the street, all you got to do if you want to, yeah, you can clean up the street. But man, to put people in a position to allow them to have free will, and that's why we were saying earlier, no one has free will. Not if you look at it. I mean, we fall for anything. Somebody can tell you, hey, man, that's yours right there. Like we were talking about earlier, shout out to John. We were talking about what houses. That's your house. Well, they can come take your house because you got to pay taxes on it. So you don't technically own the house because you have to own the land and own the house. So just like when they come in, they say, oh, we have this new law, Measure 110. And Measure 110 tells you that, hey, we decriminalized everything. So for 3 years, you decriminalized everything, strung a bunch of people out. You're talking about, like I said, all the hard drugs. Now you're saying, all the hard drugs are a problem. You think?
First on Fox tonight, the Oregon Senate has made a major decision on a controversial voter-approved measure. They passed House Bill 4002, which will roll back a key component of Measure 110, making possessing a small amount of drugs illegal in Oregon once again. Now, the bill is headed to the governor's desk tonight. It passed 21-8 in a show of bipartisan support. Lawmakers in both parties say this is the best option to address the state's growing drug and addiction crises. House Bill 4002 will recriminalize possessing a small amount of drugs, reversing a key component of Measure 110. It also creates an unclassified misdemeanor for those found in possession of hard drugs such as meth, heroin, and fentanyl. The bill will also give law enforcement the authority to decide whether to send someone into a deflection program, which connects the drug user to treatment, or to send them to jail for up to 6 months. Lawmakers had this to say today about the passage.
I think it was really important that we set aside politics, that we set aside partisanship, and that we focused on crafting a policy that addressed many of those things that we heard Oregonians say. And I think that this policy does that. And I think that's why you heard on the floor of the Senate today that sometimes that's unusual in this building. But this is such an important problem, an important crisis that we are facing, that it was really important to set aside those partisanship.
Some people have complained that this is too complicated to do in a short session. I would say normally true, but it's also an emergency, which is another reason that short sessions exist, because when 3 or 4 Oregonians a day are dying because of addiction, I think it's incumbent upon the legislature to try to act and stem the tide of that happening.
ACLU Oregon Executive Director Sandy Chung says this bill is a major step back in terms of treating addiction. She and other proponents of Measure 110 say a new war on drugs is not the solution.
We had chosen as a state to move forward into the arc of history, into more justice and more care. And now Oregon lawmakers are very knowingly and intentionally moving backwards, away from both justice, but also from the real solutions that all Oregonians deserve.
Chung says that she understands that polls show a majority of Oregonians wanted some sort of reform to Measure 110, but she blames special interests for influencing voters' outlook on the measure.
Now, she need to stop. See, she just trying to get paid. Yeah, she trying to get paid. She don't, you know why? Because she's not, maybe somebody around her that's not affected by it. And she's looking at it as, like they said, a political game. Anybody in their right mind would have known that. That's like telling your child, you know, I know it ain't child, but just using child, telling your child, you know what, you can do whatever you want to do in the house. So for 2-3 years, your son or daughter is leaving in and out the house when they want to, have people at the house, throwing parties in the house, you telling them, hey, just keep the noise down. Hey, don't worry about it, just keep the noise down. Then one day you wake up like, man, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this no more. And then you tell a child, you can't do this no more. Like, how are they supposed to take that? Yeah. I mean, like, they're literally using these people as guinea pigs. They literally, for 3 years, they tried to brag and do something, and they said they were going to do something nobody did. And they're right. They did something nobody did. They created an epidemic in one state. They said they're having an average of three people, 3 to 4 people unaliving themselves off of OD, like daily. And think about think about when it first hit. The first wave, the first year, okay, everybody probably was, getting used to it. The second, it became, second year just came normal. Then third year, it's out of control because the same person that was hiding, sneaking the little bitty small thing, now this person is doing a lot more drugs, heavier drugs now, and putting themselves in a whole I mean, this is crazy. So where does the programs come in? They say they're going to allow people, but they allow people to have programs for free. So my question is, where did that money go? If 60% of them didn't pay any fees or didn't show up, where did all that money go? sound like to me, for them 3 years, they got a bunch of money and the money ran out. They said, okay, money ran out. All right, let's go back. We get it. Because remember, that's how Canada did too. Canada and Quebec and Montreal places is decriminalized. And you say, why are you decriminalizing drugs? And you even selling the drug. You having dispensaries like meth dispensaries and stuff. Like, where they doing that at? Knowing that it is a chemical compound that can kill you. But then we, hey, at the same time, we put it out there and nobody's saying anything. So I don't know. This whole thing right here it blew my mind because I'm like, okay, so I know they was decriminalized in 2020. So now it done got out of control. And now people, like, nobody would have thought that people would just start being unalive. I mean, if they're hiding it over there and they can't hide it in broad daylight in Philly, now you give people the option to do it. Then you come back 3 years later and then tell them they got a few months left to party and have fun. Because after that, you in trouble. And watch what I tell you. It's going to be a straight sweep crackdown. And they're going to get all the people they going to get. And they can say all they want to. And them people that got them programs, they smart. They held on them to them. Because the same ones that didn't go there, the 60%, somehow the state's going to get contact and y'all going to be co-partner. And that's how they're going to make their money. And they're going to make their money off restitutions and programs. And it's sad because these are the same people that don't have the money when you were going to give it to them for free. You say, hey, you can pay the $100 or call this number. Some of them didn't even call the number. Just think about it. If somebody tell you, hey, man, you ain't got the money. You're doing the drugs. You ain't got the money, man. Call this number. They'll pay for it. They're like, all right. And they never call. And nobody does anything. So my question is, I wonder if they're going to get back and they're going to double back on all those tickets. They're going to go looking for all those people with tickets. All those quote unquote citations. So, because again, those are no longer, and people get fired. Those are no longer citations. Or what about the 60,000 after they passed that law? Now I can fight that in court. Man, that's a citation. I'll just pay the citation. You can't lock me up for that. I fall under the measure 110 law, the original one. Oh, I don't know, man. I wanted to bring it to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Appreciate you rocking with your boy. Y'all look that up, man, and tell me what y'all think. Is it wrong? Is it legal? It should have already been that, and it was a trap, and everybody should have thought about that. Like, hey, bro, you might want to think about that, man. And you got too complacent and cocky. Now the government coming in saying, whoa, this is wrong. Yeah, we made a mistake. Yeah, we gave y'all all this stuff, and we made a mistake. So let's, sound like the okie doke. Like, all right, now let's go ahead and hit them now. So what are they supposed to do? What are these people supposed to do if they got families? Because you should have been helping these people with families. They got kids and they're addicted. So if you couldn't help them, you're going to take them and we're going to see a big change. Like, I just see a lot of people. I don't know if they're building a new prison or they getting ready to do something, but it's impossible if they're having the highest rate of fentanyl crisis there, that you would just cold turkey stop it and hold people accountable. But the whole time you're not accountable. You're high five because you did something that everybody thought was good. And now you come back and now you're going to charge people for the same small crime. So now they're going to be arguing. Hey, man, no, man, I had this last week. Well, it don't count last week. It's this week. So y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think, man. I appreciate everybody coming up here. We had another great bill. We're going to continue to have great bills. And again, man, y'all look into that, man. And be careful, man. Don't go for the okie doke. Don't put yourself in a position. Be smarter than that. You say, man, why is somebody giving me all access to this? There's got to be some type of consequence with every action. There's a reaction, and you can't determine the reaction. So now you got all these people, and if I was them, I would fight. I think you at least say, hey, man, now they're going to have to admit. Now I'm curious to see the percentage of addicts really coming out of Oregon now, if they have a high rise. So, and it is bad there. It's really bad there. I ain't gonna lie. It's really bad there. So On that note, peace.
It's the Plug Podcast, hey. Yo, you already know. Once how this shit drop. Yeah. Man, we've been doing this for quite some time, and we're gonna keep on keeping on, you know? Oh, get with it or stay away from it. But either way, we going to the top. Can't even afford coming over. I pay the price since it's unimportant. So unimportant. No, I don't want you, I don't need you in my life. I feel like I'm cross. I put that on God. Feeling like the top. Feeling like the king. Everything you peep, it ain't really what it seems. Traveling, seeing all the world's problems. Trying to tell you how we get it and how we can solve them. I'm on the top flight now. I came from the bottom. Ain't gotta check my credibility. They know I got them. Can't really help it. I'm still getting better. You let it on